Welcome to part 2 of the winter renovations vlog. In the previous video we shut down the ponds for winter and I got filthy cleaning out the old display pond. Coming up in this video we do some digging, damage some pipes, fit an isolator to a live water main, and I spill the beans and explain exactly what we're doing with the old pond.
It's been another hard day and we've made quite a bit of progress.
So keep watching. Having had a few days to recover from the work cleaning out the old pond, we made a start on the next stage. Stuart started by cutting a line out in the concrete with the still saw. He uses a water hose connection on the back to keep the dust down. The concrete was not particularly thick, so lifting it with a breaker was a straightforward process. The health and safety guy would be pleased to see that Matthew had his gloves and eye protection on, but no ear defenders. I loaded the rubble into a large tipper bucket that can be wheeled around and scooped up with a fork truck. It definitely beats using a wheelbarrow. By the time we are done, I think we'll have filled a skip. This little machine of Stuart's is amazingly versatile. It can cut a narrow trench out with perfect precision, and it's able to tackle big jobs too. So far, I haven't been given access to the keys. It's new and it doesn't have any dents. You might be wondering why I didn't just unhook the bucket, push it alongside the trench. I'm wondering exactly the same thing right now. We soon had the trench out, and it was time to start laying some pipe runs. Cutting PVC pipe is not hard work with a handsaw, but a thin disc and a grinder makes it even easier going. After you have done a few, you can get a good cut even without a guideline. If you have a sanding disc, you can quickly bevel an edge, making it easier to insert into the fittings. Ring seal pipe is very easy to work with once you apply some lubricant to it. Without the lubricant though, it's very tricky and you can easily damage the seals. Normally on a pond you would use solvent well pipe, but for what we are doing here, this is more than sufficient. To break through the wall into the centre ponds, we cut through with a core drill. This gives you a smooth finish, and provided the walls are not reinforced, the drill gets through it with minimal effort. Stuart then ran an electric cable from the centre ponds, down the trench and round the back into the old pond. The cable is in armoured steel to protect the wires from accidental damage. It's going to be connected to a switch in the filter area and power a pump in the display pond. When most of the pipework was connected up, I started to load up some pea gravel into the tipper bucket. Since we built the decked area in front of the cafe, it's awkward getting a large vehicle around the back of the store, so everything has to be brought in one bucket at a time. We then partially filled the trench back up with the pea gravel, making sure not to leave any gaps underneath. This will allow for some movement in the pipe, should it be required. but keep it secure and prevent the joints from separating. Running under the concrete, there are mains water pipes, electric supply cables, and a gas main. We had a good idea where these would be located because the paths were cast in 2015 when we rebuilt the ponds. Even so, we still managed to damage a conduit protecting some electric cables running to one of the ponds. Fortunately, the cables were unscathed. So I slit a section of pipe with the grinder to make up a cover sleeve. I couldn't bend it enough to just slip it over, so I used a blow lamp on it to soften it up first. I then slipped it over the old pipe and moulded it around. It made a nice clean fix.
So it's been another hard day and we've made quite a bit of progress, so let me take you around and show you how things are going. So here we are. We've been working on this now for about 3 days, and the first thing that we did was to get this old pond completely emptied. A lot of people got fond memories of this pond. It was put in about 30 years ago, and what happened was, when the pond was actually built, there wasn't all of these trees. These trees have grown extremely big. Every year the problem from leaves just got worse and worse until we just simply couldn't cope with them any longer. Now, there's no possibility of cutting down these trees. That's not something that we would want to do. And this pond has been completely empty of fish for probably 10 years. We just haven't really put it to good use at all. In 10 years it's become completely overgrown. So as you saw, we got it all cleaned out, and now hopefully we're going to put it to some use again. But what we're doing with it, we're not actually going to use it as a pond. We're thinking of using it as a reservoir for water. We have a huge roof here on top of this building, and that generates enormous amounts of rainwater, and we're thinking that we're going to be able to channel some of that rainwater into this tank and use it as a reservoir from our pond, for our ponds. The reservoir will also be topped up with tap water through a dechlorinator, and we'll be doing that overnight. So we'll be storing the water up in this tank here, and then the idea is that we're going to pump it into the ponds through a pipe. So we've started getting all the channel out for it, and as you can see, we're using quite a large diameter pipe here. This is a 4-inch pipe. Now the reason that we're using such a big pipe is that we want to get a lot of water into the ponds quickly, and we want to be able to distribute that water evenly without having some of the water all trying to go to the first ponds and so on. So it's going to come down this 4-inch pipe here, and it's going to go under all of the walkways, and then at the end we're going to bring this size down into the tank, so it'll be stepped down, and it'll be like a 2-inch or a 1.5-inch pipe going into the pond. At this point along here, we're branching off, and we're going to be taking some water into our 8 ponds in the center. So it'll come through here and it'll split off, and then we'll take a 1.5-inch or a 2-inch pipe into these tanks, and exactly the same into the tanks here. We've also got another tanking system which runs down the side, so we've prepared a feed off of the pipe there, and at this point we're anticipating putting some new tanks in over the winter. So if that gets done, which I do hope that we can get time to get that done this year, the water for those will come off of this pipe here, and that will go under the ground as well. So this is going to be a project that puts this pond back into service. It's not going to be having fish in it. A lot of customers would like it to have fish in it, but unfortunately it's very, very tricky to keep it clear of leaves, and that's actually why we're going to be building a roof on this, because once this is finished, there's no point in us having this wonderful reservoir here and filling it up with clean water off the roof or from the mains, and then all that we're going to have is hundreds of leaves falling into it all the time. So it's necessary for us to build a lid across all this, and that's what we're going to do.
Over the next few days, work continued on. I installed the pipework into the ponds. I needed to drill a few holes, cut and glue up some fittings. Each of the ponds needed its own valve so we can control the flow of water from the pump.
Front here, and then run the pipe up. Are you going to do it live?
Yeah.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Wait for
Just
it.
get a towel on it for us.
Why don't you just get a pair of mould bricks or something and just clamp that pipe on?
The mains water isolator valve is years old
Oh, okay.
and
I don't want
seized.
to get pretty wet through.
So I got the job of cutting into it. Matthew and Stuart watched closely, expecting I would get soaked.
Get on your fella. That's it. Doddle.
Not this time. With the new isolator installed, the pipework was laid in the trench. We mixed up a load of concrete. The channel was then filled up to the top with concrete and floated to a smooth finish. Things are going well, and over the next few weeks we have a lot more work to do. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and will subscribe to the channel. Post some comments and give the video a thumbs up. It's bye for now from Lee at the Japanese Water Gardens.